Welcome to the second unit of AS Psychology Exam Board AQA. Today we're going through some biological psychology. It's me, Liam.
And me, Joe.
Hello.
Hello. Right. Lots to talk about. Very little time. Let's go for it.
Unfortunately, right, we'll start off with its body's response to stress. So what is stress, Joe?
Stress is experienced when a person's perceived environmental, social, or physical demands exceed their perceived ability to cope.
Very succinct. And what are stressors?
Stressors are stimuli or situations that impose demands on an individual. They can be chronic or acute. Chronic is ongoing and acute is sudden.
Well done, Joe. Okay, we have two systems to talk about. We have the pituitary adrenal system and the sympathomedullary pathway to outline. So let's start off with the pituitary adrenal system. This one is more for chronic stresses, so things are ongoing. And we remember this by HPA. So if we start off with H...
Hypothalamus detects stressor.
Then P...
Stimulates pituitary gland. Pituitary. To release ACTH into the blood.
And then A...
Stimulates adrenal cortex to release corticosteroids.
Very well done.
Which
and then
leads to the breakdown of glycogen into glucose in the liver. For energy.
Yep, well done. So that's basically the pituitary adrenal system. HPA, hypothalamus, pituitary gland, adrenal cortex, and energy.
Hooray!
Okay, now we have the sympathomedullary pathway, which is more for acute stressors. So obviously we start off with the hypothalamus, detecting the stressor, and then we have the SAM, or the SAF system, as Joe likes to call it.
The SAF.
We have S.
Sympathetic branch of the autonomic nervous system sends out nerve impulses.
And the A.
Stimulates adrenal medulla to release adrenaline and noradrenaline.
And M or F.
Fight or flight response, increased heart rate, blood pressure, breathing rate, and the M is muscle tension for some reason.
Yeah, well, I prefer calling it by a name rather than SAF. Which isn't really a name. Unless you're called SAF, and then I do apologise. Okay, so you mentioned the autonomic nervous system there, the ANS for short. And we can say that it has two branches. First, the sympathetic branch for the fight or flight response, and also the parasympathetic branch for the rest and digest thing. So when a stressful event occurs, the SAM or the SAF and the HPA are activated. That's the pituitary adrenal system and the sympathomedullary pathway. And when the stressor has ceased, the parasympathetic nervous system will activate to restore balance.
Of course, that's talking about chemical balance, not physical balance, like balancing on a beam. General adaptive system model.
That's the gas model for you and me.
Can you outline this?
I can. So we have the gas, the general adaptive system. So G, general, the belief that there is the same body response to all stressors. We then have the A, which is adaptation. Stress response enables an organism to adapt to stressors to survive. And then S, the syndrome, a combination of factors. So we have three stages here. First of all, we have the alarm stage,
which is the fight or flight response as a result of HPA and SAM models.
Then the resistance stage,
which is the parasympathetic branch of the autonomic nervous system activating. It restores energy and repairs damage. If stress has gone, then the body returns back to normal function.
Yep, and then the third and final stage, exhaustion.
If stress cannot be overcome, like in chronic stresses, adrenal glands enlarge, body's resources, including hormone levels, become depleted. It leads to depression, irritability in humans, and leads to diseases of adaptation, including CHD, coronary heart disease.
Exactly, and we can quickly evaluate this. We have some support. It's supported by falsifiable evidence. That means that the evidence is scientific in a way that you can actually measure things. That's what falsifiable means.
Yeah.
And just generally it has support by research, which is good. So if you need to say that, you can just say it's supported by some research.
Cool.
Okay, and that concludes our first episode in biological psychology.
Awesome.